Let's rock. All right. Do this again. Okay, can you guys see the Ignite on my screen right now? Give me a thumbs up. Cool. Thank you, Paul. All right, awesome. Now let me get it pulled up over here so I know what to say. Y'all already know what to say. It's just, I'll lose track. So, all right, you guys have seen this course overview. It's really consistent how we're going through Ignite. And we're going to talk about, this is kind of the last section of how to build your real estate business. And then you're going to go into sort of some of the how to actually run your business. And your lead generation and your lead follow-up are truly the backbone of your business. And then you kind of bring them into the conversion place where we're converting them from leads to actually, into buyers and sellers. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And we're going to go into talk about the mindset around strengthening those relationships. We're going to identify goals and devise a plan. Really, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about some principles for follow-up. We're going to talk a little bit about that 36 touch convert plan. Do you guys remember the 36 touch? Yeah, because I know we talked about 36 touch during my session too. So you've probably hammered that in. The reason we hammer that in is because most agents don't do it. Just being super frank with you guys. So, but you guys are not most agents. We are building up this 36 touch plan because this is the way to convert. And then we're going to design what's called a MOFR, which is a make offer for immediate response. It's basically kind of like a call to action. So we're going to talk about we're going to brainstorm a few ideas on what MOFRs can be based on what your actual strategy is around that. And then, of course, we'll go through some ahas, agents helping agents. We'll do a little bit of lead generation before we move to section 2 today. So know that growth comes from clarity, priorities, and focused action. What does this mean to you guys? Clarity, priorities, and focused action. If you just want to unmute yourself, I'm going to be talking a lot, so I'd love to hear somebody else. What does this mean to you? Anybody?
It to me, it means income producing activity because we can stay really busy doing a lot of nothing.
Oh my God.
That's not going to be producing income.
Yeah. Well, and the confused mind says no. Whenever you're kind of analyzing things or you're designing things, you're not actually doing that focused action. So whenever we narrow down our focus with that clarity, then your goals, like what you can achieve, will actually increase, Okay, I'm going to pull up the chat box too so that I have this over in my corner. Okay. Okay. Yep, less talk, more work. Yeah. So, and I know you guys have seen this lead funnel 100 times before, right? So today, really a big part of what we're talking about is preparing. We're bringing those contacts, we're strengthening them so that they actually will eventually convert, right? So it's like, okay, we have some rapport, we have some trust, but now we want them to actually buy or sell or potentially refer, right? So we want to kind of have all of those things happening at once. Okay. And then that, of course, can lead to referrals, repeat clients, recommendations, etc. And remember, the difference between a lead is you have the right to have a one-way conversation versus a contact, you've earned the opportunity to have a two-way conversation. So essentially what that means is that you've built a little bit of trust and a little bit of rapport. Okay. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So focus on building the relationships and then take the market share. One of the things that's also really important is taking into consideration whenever you guys have um developed what your goals are. Does anybody have an idea about, and you don't have to share it if you don't want to, but anybody have an idea about the number of units they would like to sell this year? Just give me a thumbs up or say yes in the chat if you do know what that number is. So I know what the number is for me. Okay, cool. So here's the thing. In most markets, there's, to be very frank, there's a shit ton more than whatever your number is. Okay. So in my market, there's about 38,000 transactions. 38,000. Y'all, what if my goal is 25? There's plenty to go around. And so as we're doing this, our job is to simply take a little chunk of the market share for us, right? And in theory, it's because A, we deserve it, and B, we have earned the right, to have those conversations with people. So we're going to start with the mindset. And so today's conversation is tomorrow's transaction. And whenever we think about, I know, Amanda, and that's Charleston. It's only like we only have 300,000 people here. It's not like I'm in like a big metro city, Frederick probably has more people in terms of like uh in the outskirts, because you can probably go all the way to like Ellicott City or even Hagerstown. Um, so when we think about today's conversation is tomorrow's transaction, everything that we do today, like this business is everything that we do is it's in arrears, or not in arrears. What we do now doesn't pay us for usually minimum 90 days. And part of that is a really cool thing, and part of that's honestly a really bad thing. So sometimes it's whenever we have a whole bunch of transactions, we're juggling buyers and sellers, then we're so busy that in 90 days we're broke because we're working in our business, right? We're working on our active clients. So we just really, that's why it's really important to time block the opportunity to make sure that you're not losing what could be tomorrow's transactions. And I always say this and even like with around like say new construction or houses that close longer or something like that, is I need to eat tomorrow too. Like I don't just need to eat today. I need to eat in 6 months. I need to eat in 6 years. You know what I mean? So we have to make sure that we're factoring that in the whole life. So, and making sure that you're harvesting enough now and planting enough seeds now to be able to make sure that in 2, 6, 9 months that you still have transactions happening. And then Gary says, once you meet your new contacts, you either do business with them immediately or you don't. It doesn't matter. That's one of the things too, in terms of like being really unattached to the outcome. When you meet someone, it doesn't necessarily matter. You're either going to do business with them now or you're going to do business with them later. Hopefully, right? So your job is simply to follow up with them in the meantime. That's your job. It's to put them in your database and follow up with them. That's your job, the end. Whenever they're ready, then you have an opportunity. But then once you met them, you get to stay in touch with them forever. It's not like they leave you. They don't leave your world. Having said that, you can easily be forgotten. So that's why today's class is about strengthening your relationships and making sure that you continue with that mindset. So when you look at this graph, we have lead generation, then lead follow-up. Hopefully conversion will then lead to the transaction. So And that's why, once again, if you're so transaction heavy, then you stop doing the lead gen and potentially you stop doing the lead follow-up. And what that means is that you're going to stop converting leads. It's just simple, right? And the follow-up phase, for most buyers and sellers is about 7 to 10 years. Yeah, are there some instances where, I mean, I've resold a house before in about 18 months, but for the most part, the average is 7 to 10 years. And especially when it comes to the interest rates that people have right now, right? A lot of people are going to stay potentially a little bit longer these days. So the lead follow-up definitely will lead to the lead conversion, but we have to can just keep lead generating in general. And that's why, like, the way that I build my business is I like to strengthen the relationships of my existing ones to lead to more conversions rather than going out and networking and meeting 100 strangers a week. I'm always adding people into my database. I'm always lead generating, but I personally am doing a better job. Like, it's my focus to make sure that the existing people in my database, that I'm strengthening my relationships with them because they already have rapport with me. They already have a level of trust with me, etc. Does that make sense? So you have to have the mindset, of course, of like, everything that you do today is going to pay you, 90 days later. And then the overall goal, of course, is to convert these clients. So I have a question. Has anybody, just by show of hands or say yes in the chat, have you ever signed up for a mailing list but you knew that you weren't quite ready to buy yet, but you just wanted to be kept in the loop, right? Like maybe you wanted to see if there's something new that they might happen, maybe see if they were offering a little discount code, right? You were like, you know what? I know I'm going to be redoing my kitchen one day, but I'm not quite ready yet. So let me just go ahead and get on this cabinet company, website or something like that. So think about that in terms of your real estate business. There's going to be a lot of people. I think we get antsy, like when somebody joins our database, or we meet them that we're like, oh, do you want to buy or sell tomorrow? And it's like, no, they probably don't. So it's just a matter of just keeping them up to date with valuable data, market stats, maybe, and then making sure that they know that they can come to us with if they have any questions, things like that. But it really is our job and to keep them in our world, continuing to add value to them. Having said that, we are going to share some ideas today on how to quicken that. So it's like, okay, whenever people are starting to get kind of like close to pulling the trigger, you know what I mean? So that's what we're going to talk today. Like there's a lot of people, that can be like on the fence. They're like, oh, well, I'm waiting for X. I'm waiting for Y, something like that happening. Have you guys had experienced that yet with your clients? They're like, well, I'm waiting for the interest rates to go down, or well, I'm waiting for, I don't know, to pay off my student loan or to get my credit back, like in a better position or something like that, right? So we're going to talk about some of the ways that we can um, build that out. So we want to convert those leads to close business, and we want to stay top of mind. Those are our main things when we're talking about strengthening our relationships. So I love this graph. It's like crazy every time I see it. We talk about this at our big like conferences too, is the number of agents interviewed before choosing an agent. A seller only interviews one agent 74% of the time, and a buyer only interviews one agent 75% of the time. So a lot of the times it isn't that we're competing, we're only competing for mind share. So we just need to make sure that we are already offering enough value. Now, let me ask you guys a question. If if your client is in the database of say 3 agents, what are some of the things, and I'd love for you to put in the chat box or even unmute yourself, what are some of the things that if there's 3 agents, what are some of the things that the winning agent would likely do?
Provide vendors or other things besides real estate, just to stay top of mind.
Okay, so maybe offer other kind of resources, say, hey, sharing my contractor list or my vendor list, or hey, do you need a plumber? I just had this great plumber, he rocked it. Something like that. Love it. Yeah, a CMA,
Weekly
just
or monthly, like check in text messages or put them on an email list weekly or monthly.
perfect. Yes, yes, just like that communication, whether it's through email or text message, share referrals. Yep. Even like little events. The deal is that you're staying top of mind. That's the main thing. So, if there's 3 agents and one of them is communicating quarterly, one of them is communicating monthly, and one of them is communicating weekly, who do you think is going to win? The quarterly, monthly, or weekly? The weekly.
Weekly.
Because they're top of mind. They're in your face. And here's the thing is the optics around that, it's like, okay, well, maybe it might be a little bit annoying to some people. I get it. But what I see as some of the optics of that is that they're organized. They're running a business. This isn't a side hustle. This isn't a part-time gig, this real estate thing. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like eventually, like I would want a full-time agent. Or like not that you need to be working 40 hours a week, but somebody that's committed to that. So kind of depending on where you are, or somebody that focuses on the things that I want to focus on. So what if every week they're sending investment strategies or flip like investment, like distressed properties. Like it'll be the person that's providing value consistently and then providing the value that I would want. Ah, I love that question. So no, you do not need to work 60 hours a week. Oh my gosh. We need to work smarter, not harder. We need to get some systems in place. So I want to answer a question, Estefania. So how do you offer value? Is one of the things that you can do is there's so many systems like in command or in your office, even just on command, like those monthly neighborhood nurtures, that's already value that you can share with your clients. So it's like, let me see, how do you offer value when you're so new and don't even know how to start or create the docs? Okay. So I would just say, and you can also use ChatGPT to be like, hey, what sort of value can I add to my clients as a brand new real estate agent? You can send out market updates. You can offer to send out CMAs and things like that. We're gonna brainstorm a couple of them too. And one of the things that I really like to do is because for me, it's just about staying top of mind. So I get coffee with my clients. That's a big, big part of what I do. And when I say clients, they're not actually clients, they're just my friends, and my hope is that they become a client, you know what I mean? But a lot of the times it isn't even that I'm doing anything formally real estate related. It's just that I am being top of mind by showing up. And of course, I'm going to say something like, hey, how's work? And then they're going to say something like, hey, how's work? And so then I'm going to say, oh my gosh, I'm loving real estate. It's so much fun. I've really enjoyed X, Y, and Z, whatever those genuine things are. And you can kind of go from there. Okay, then the third goal here is to leverage your mind share for referral business. It can be obviously for them or also for referral business. Whoop. So we all know that, we've asked, say has anybody asked on Facebook, hey, who's a great plumber? Totally, right? Like we trust our friends usually more than even just Googling. Plus, honestly, it's easier to be like, hey, who's your favorite lawn care person? You know? So whenever we do that, just keep in mind what we want to do is we want to implant in our friends' heads that if somebody asks for a real estate agent, that they tell them about us. Does that make sense? So we want to make sure that our friends know how to refer us, that our friends know that we want the referral. And you might think, well, of course they should know. They don't know unless you tell them. I am telling you right now, I've had people not refer me business because they said, well, Winnie, I didn't know that you were looking to get any new clients. What? That's my fault. Like, I don't know what I did wrong, but I did something wrong there. You know what I mean? So all of that to say, you have to be intentional about asking for referrals, about asking to stay top of mind, and just making sure that they know how to refer you. Yeah, Thomas, that's great. Yeah, because people don't really understand. They just think that you're on an island, right? They don't realize that this is really such a family affair, real estate, you know what I mean? Not necessarily family, but it's like it's a village. It takes a village. Let's see. Oh, this is a great stat. So in 2021, NAR, the National Association of Realtors, found that 47% of buyers who used an agent were referred by a friend, neighbor, or relative. And that's just a regular buyer. It jumps up to 57% if it's a first-time home buyer. So basically, first-time home buyers are asking their friends who they use as a realtor. So that can be an initiative that you can take to make sure to stay top of mind. Does that make sense? Debbie, I tried something new this week. Instead of just posting happy birthday, I'm now messaging them through Facebook. Super smart. If you message them through Facebook too, it also bumps you up on their algorithm. Super smart. Almost everyone responds and starts a two-way conversation. That's great, Debbie. I love that. That's a more direct connection, right? Yeah, and Jen, yes, this is completely a word of mouth business, or can be, Mine is completely 100% word of mouth. So I don't do online leads. It's just the way, I just don't. It's not good or bad. It's just I'm not organized to do that. All right. I would love to hear from this section on kind of what are the overall goals? How can we strengthen relationships? And then kind of establishing your mindset for strengthening relationships. What are some things that you learned so far? Or some
So
takeaways?
can I add one thing to what you said?
Of course.
So one of my best friends that I've been friends with for 20 plus years literally just signed contract or went under contract on a house with another realtor. And I was super hurt about it at first, but then I'm like, okay, I get it. She said, I didn't know that you could help me even though I'm in a different state than you. So we can all help each other in different states via referrals. And
Yes.
just like I could have helped her buy her house through a referral. So
Absolutely.
even if you're not in the same state, you can still help people. And that's what I've
Absolutely.
been running into a lot is, oh, well, I didn't know that you could help me because I'm in Illinois, or I'm in North Dakota, or I'm in whatever. So
Mhm. So, and that's one of the things that I would say, whenever say for instance, you go and you have coffee or you send out an email newsletter, make sure that that's one of your talking points is that we have such an incredible referral network, especially you guys doing Ignite After Dark. Like this is I hope that all of you guys are networking with one another because this is a very formative or potentially formative relationships that you guys can create during this time. Like you guys are going through it together. So, being able to build those relationships, you already have agent friends in other cities right now, so make sure that you're loving on your agent friends in other cities, but also make sure that your clients, your friends, your family know how and know that you can um, help them in other cities. So that's one of the things I don't do it enough, but I probably do it like a couple times a year. I'll put it in my newsletter and like a little map of the United States with like stars all over and just say like, hey, did you know? Because now all my clients do know that I teach in other cities. So that's kind of helps them kind of remember that I know people in other cities, but I mean, I like genuinely know people in other cities. And if I don't, what am I going to do? I'm going to go in one of our Facebook groups or I'm going to ask, say for instance, like the other day I needed somebody in Oklahoma City or something. But I didn't know anybody in Oklahoma City. So I asked my friend that lives in Tulsa and she knew somebody in Oklahoma City, right? So like we're going to know people everywhere. So just make sure that your clients and your friends know how to refer you to people. The way that I usually do that is I ask them to three-way text me. That's my personal preference because then it holds me accountable. It also holds the person accountable. So, like for instance, I have a call later on tonight and it's from my client's brother. And I told my client Jason, I was like, "Hey, I want you to text the three of us." And it was funny because his brother hadn't responded to me yet. And then Jason wrote back and was like, "Hey, Winnie asked you a question, dude." So it was kind of funny. So like Jason's holding his brother accountable to have the conversation with me, So I don't know. It's kind of cool.
And if you don't know somebody, then for instance, sorry to butt in, but I'm a member of the Rainbow Network. And
Mhm.
so I'll jump on my the Rainbow Network Facebook page, and
Yeah.
I'll ask if I don't get
The affinity
anybody
groups
there.
are huge.
If I don't get anybody there, then I go straight to command and I find somebody that way. And if you're not friends with them, make friends.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, you definitely call them and stuff. The affinity groups are a great way to to strengthen the relationships with your referral partners. So, I mean, I treat my referral partners pretty similarly to kind of how I treat treat my clients. Like I send out a newsletter for my referral partners, I kind of like do some of this stuff to make sure that I'm top of mind for my agent to agent referral partners as well. That's great. Thank you for sharing. All right, let's move on so we've identified the goals. Now we're going to devise a plan. So I know that we talked about this already. I know that you guys have how many times have you guys talked about the 19 to connect and 36 to convert and all that kind of stuff? Like 17 times or like 3 times? I see Paul here like a couple times, right? A bunch. Good. Well, the good news is that the reason we do that is so that you don't ever forget, right? We are hammering this into your head for sure. So you can put together, your 36 touch has a lot of variety. It's meant to have a lot of variety. And depending on how you build your business, your 4 touches, your 26 touches, your 2 touches, your 4 touches, uh, your events, your pop buys, your direct mail, and then your telephone calls and all that kind of stuff can be based in the way that you build your business. For instance, and I know I shared with you guys, like I do a yoga event every year and a Halloween event every year. Now, do you guys think that the reason I do a yoga event is because I like yoga? Yeah. I would not do a golfing event. That is not for me, right? Maybe putt-putt, but like I wouldn't do golf, right? I just don't know how to. So you want to make sure. So that's kind of one of the cool things about real estate is that we get to build this business in a way that feels aligned with us. So Telephone calls, obviously one of the, or in person, the deepest, then telephone and Zoom, and then text message the least, right? And social media the least. So that's why we want to make sure that we are doing those in person events, or like say events or phone calls. So we want to try to get them into it, because that's one of the main ways that you can strengthen those relationships. Okay. So there's those 6 connection questions. Those were mentioned, I think, in the session yesterday. They are, the 6 connection questions are: who are they? What do they want or need to do? Where do they want or need to do it? Why do they want or need to do it? When do they want or need to do it? And then how do they plan on doing it? So you guys hopefully talked about that yesterday or the day or Friday. Maybe, maybe not. Kind of. Anyhow, it's basically, it's who, what, when, where, why, how, in terms of, you know, what you need to find out about each of your clients. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to make a MOFR. So make offer for immediate response. So a lot of the times this is also called a call to action. A call to action sometimes can just be one way, however, where a MOFR is basically saying, if I do this, will you do this? So it is a two-way call to action, so to speak. Does that make a little bit of sense? Now, obviously, it is designed to get an immediate response, hence the name. And even if they don't respond, however, it's still, the hope is still that you are offering value, or you are getting that mind share, right? That there's some. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to brainstorm, and I want you guys to type in the chat box or unmute yourself. We're going to brainstorm, make offer for immediate purchase. We're going to brainstorm some ideas for what are some things that you can send to your clients or friends that would involve them replying with something back to you. So I will start, because last time when we did our text lead gen, we said, hey, will you help me with this? Or hey, will you do me a favor? We have this new monthly market feature. If I send it to you, will you give me feedback? There's this technique, it's called If I Would You. And it basically, you know how like everybody wants to be helpful. Most people, let's say most people want to be helpful. So a lot of people don't like to do something without giving something back. For instance, do you ever feel guilty if somebody buys you a coffee and you haven't gotten them anything, or something like that, right? So you want to create a symbiotic relationship, not just a one-sided relationship. And a MOFR is meant to be both sides. And another example of that is a If I Would You. If I sent you this market update, would you give me feedback on what it looks like? If I invited you to my client event, would you come as my guest? If would you send me your address and I will send you a real estate analysis? If you and then a lot of them are related to I'll buy your house cash, you know, or we'll list it for free, something like that. So we're going to take some time right now, and I would love for everybody to just kind of brainstorm some ideas, look in the chat, write some ideas in the chat, or what are some of the things that you might be able to offer and then ask for in return. So once again, these are two-sided things. So you're offering them something and then,
So I have a question.
yeah.
Um, I have a really big database, like a very big sphere of like almost 5,000 people from like all done. But they're like discombobulated. Sometimes I have like only a Facebook connection. Sometimes I just have a phone number. Sometimes I just have sometimes I have everything and I really want to update I'm connecting with them. But what do you think would be a good way to complete the contact, um,
I would
and,
feel
and get this? Like,
I would do a survey, like a Google form or some sort of a survey, like a lead form, and say, hey, I'm updating my address book. Will you fill this out for me? And you can send it to the people on Facebook, and then you can send it to your people on Instagram, and then you can send it to your email list. Like, getting their birthdays, that we're going to do birthdays today. So something like that. So it's basically you would in theory take the time to do like a Google form would be the easiest in my opinion. Have you used a Google form before?
yeah. And then in return, I could say like, I'll enter you in our giveaway this month or something like that.
You could totally do that. Absolutely. Or like I'm giving away some Starbucks cards or for some people, just the fact that you might send them a birthday card or a Christmas card is good enough. Like that's a perfect initiative is be like, hey, I'm updating my address book or I'm updating all of my contacts. I want to send out birthday or Christmas cards for the first time in a decade. Could you fill this out for me? I know, right? That's most people.
I literally want to do that every year and I don't. I never do
I've
it.
never sent out Christmas cards, I'm not gonna lie. Now I do pop buys, like pop buys for my clients. I do an ornament every year. That's one thing I do. But I don't send cards, like birthday or Christmas cards. All right, what are some other things that you could ask for and or you could send them? One of my favorites is a vendor list. You could say, fill out this form and I'll send you my vendor list. You could say, fill out this form or scan this QR code or text this number, right? These are some of the main ways that you can reach out and I will send you X, Y, and Z, a home value analysis, a neighborhood update, a list of all my favorite restaurants, Valentine's Day guide, all the best dog-friendly parks in the city or dog-friendly restaurants in the city. Think about what your brand is, like what matters to you. One of the things I would totally do based on my brand is the rooftop bars in Charleston. We've got gorgeous rooftop bars. So, compiling that, like all my clients know that I know all the rooftop bars. So my clients ask me all the time. So what if I put that together and ran an ad on Instagram? You think that other people are interested in potentially the best rooftop bars in Charleston? Probably.
One of the
I have a
agents
quick,
on here, I'm
oh,
sorry, go ahead.
I had a quick question because not too long ago, I'm starting to do this poll where I'm giving away like free tickets to sports events and movies and things like that. And when I let everyone know, as far as like at my job, no one seemed like they were interested in signing up, or I don't know if they came off as like I was trying to sell them something. So I wanted to know, do you think it's a certain way that you should ask, or a certain, I don't know, a particular way you should do it where it's not coming off as like, oh, do this for me so I can do this for you, or making it seem like you're selling something that people like it may steer people away.
Yeah, one of the things that does happen is sometimes whenever you're giving something away, somebody is like, "Well, what's the catch?" Right? So
Right.
one of the things that you can sort of a lot of the times I say is my company is giving this away so that they don't think that it's me because like they'll feel guilty. You know, like say for instance, I was giving away a Yeti cooler or something like that. I can even say like take that away a little bit. Um, I'm trying to think about other things. Does anybody else have other feedback? I'd love to hear kind of if we can crowdsource for this. Because it does depend, like, are you just actually verbally asking or are you text messaging people? Are you emailing people?
So in the morning when I go into work, we do like these early meetings, and I just brought it to everyone's attention because I knew everyone was going to be there, just so I can announce it to everyone. And yeah, I just let them know like, hey, I'm starting to do this giveaway and raffles on my social media, where it is if you provide your name, number, and email, I will enter you into my database, and everyone who's already in my database already gets entered into the raffle. And there's going to be like certain tier lists and things like that, but it's completely free. And I mean, I don't know if it was just because it was early or, but I didn't, no one
So
jumped
one of the
to
things
sign up. Mhm.
I would probably make it a little bit more chill if I'm being honest with you. So probably what I would do is I would say, "Hey, I'm doing this giveaway. Go on my Instagram and check it out." And that's it. Because that's still direct enough. Or and then the other thing too is I wouldn't necessarily say, and this is something that I learned a long time ago, so I'll share with you, is I don't say I need your name, your phone number, and your email address. I just say like, hey, shoot me your contact info. Or hey, here's just like a little form, and then you'll enter to win this sweet blank. Like, are these awesome tickets? Be like, or just be like, hey, I'm actually doing like a ticket giveaway. If you guys like want to enter, it's on my Instagram. Like, just be maybe a little bit more chill about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because I was just after no one came to me or tried to like provide the information, I was just like, dang, maybe I came off as like I was trying to sell them something, and they would try to, like I needed something that they couldn't get back, or maybe it came off like it was a scam or something like that. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
and
mean, I
who
definitely
knows?
understand.
Because people are weird. You know what I mean? I mean, like as humans, we can't get inside of people's head. So one of the things that I learned, this was years ago, is I never ask for somebody's phone number or something like that. I'm just like, yo, just text me real quick, and I hand them my phone, right? Or I'm like, hey, jot down your email and I'll shoot you that over. Like I'm not like, hey, if you can provide your email address, I will send you the information on that open house information that you requested. And here's the deal, like some folks, that might not resonate with them. I'm informal and I feel like it's a little bit more chill just to be like, yo, what's your cell phone? Let me send you that link real quick. Ba, 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 ba. And it's like so chill. That's like a little sales strategy that I learned.
And I think that's what I need to work on as a salesperson, because sometimes I feel like I come off as a little bit robotic, like I need this for this, or I try to
Well,
be as
and you're
professional as
sounding
possible.
formal, and I
Right.
like that. Like you're a professional, but at the
Mhm.
end of the day, like you don't have to be like buttoned up whenever you're asking for stuff like that. Be like, dude, I'm giving away these tickets. If you want any info, just let me know. Or if
I've
if
been
you know what I mean? Just like
Right.
being super chill about it is a pretty that's how I do it. But
And
that's
that,
also my brand.
and that makes sense, because now I'm just thinking about my next move is just like just to start it up, and then when it does start happening, maybe they'll like, oh, well, I got these tickets going on. If you're still interested, you can always sign up if you want to. No, no
Yeah.
worries at all.
Yeah, super chill.
I've been told that like I need to dress up more and I need to not be so chill with my clients, but I mean we're supposed to build a relationship with our clients, and that's just me. Like I'm gonna shoot the excuse my French, shoot the
I
shit with
say
my
shoot the
clients.
shit.
Like yeah, exactly. I'm going to shoot the shit with them. I'm going to be real with them. One of the first things, and I don't tell, well, I do tell a lot of people this, but one of the first things that I tell all of my clients is, and it comes out differently depending on the type of person that it is, but in a roundabout way, I tell them, if you are looking for somebody to blow sunshine up your ass, call someone else, because I'm not it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that there's like, you know, a balance, but at the end of the day, like it's a matter of, I was actually talking about this yesterday with my boyfriend. I was like saying how when I teach, I'm usually pretty informal, right? But I put my money where my mouth is. I have the numbers to back it up. I can quote you MREA. Like I've been in this business for years. I'm certified. Like I can you just like rattle off these things, but I'm pretty informal. And so the same thing with like, you know, like people can rag on each other or be silly, but if you have the rest of it to back it up, then it actually provides you more freedom to kind of flow. So I would focus on, you know, like leading with a level of like professionalism, you know what I mean? And all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, like I'm not going to not be me at all. Like that just doesn't gonna, that's not going to work for me. And
Right,
it, you
right.
know,
And
Yeah,
I want them to feel like I want them to feel that level of comfort that they can be themselves too, and not have to worry about, oh, I have to be prim and proper because Amanda's here or whatever. I don't want that for them.
yeah. Well, and that, so I teach branding classes. And so that's like one of my big things is like the more you are yourself with people, the more you're empowering other people to be themselves. Having said that, you still need to know your shit. Like that's like where kind of I go into it, you know?
I
Yeah,
think you got to be genuine to do any kind of sales. You've always got to be genuine. People see through bullshit right away. And,
totally.
and,
You can
and you got to
smell it.
read the room. You know, I think you gotta know who your customer is. And, you know, if they're coming in a jacket and a tie or whatever, then, you know, you're going to want to keep it a little bit more professional. But I had a guy walk into an open house last weekend with a beer in his hand.
You're like, what's up, dude? What kind's that? Is that a
That's
Pilsner?
my kind of
You know what I
guy.
mean?
Yeah, I said, well, I'm glad you guys were having fun looking at houses today. Let me
Yeah,
have you
yeah.
sign in and show you around.
Well, and I think, Paul, you made a really good point too. It's like you want to be genuine, but you also do want to read the room. So I would invite you to like there's something called mirror and matching where for instance, like for have you ever like if you're with your family, you talk a little bit different than when you're with other people. It isn't that you're not being genuine, but I'm going to tell you right now, I talk way more country when I'm on the porch with my daddy than I do when I'm at like I'm teaching a class or hosting a client event. And it isn't that I'm not being genuine. It's just that, you know, that it's different. Like we are like multidimensional people, you know, and at the end of the day, if the way that you're acting or reacting is affecting the way that your business structure is, then you do want to probably adjust, you know? And it's, for instance, like we have a couple people in our office that are very like outspoken politically, and for some of them it might be okay, but for some of them might not be. And there's also a time and a place for that. So one of them has a private Facebook group. They can be however political they want to be. But in a public setting, we need to make sure that we're in culture and honoring the Y4C2Ts, you know, as well. And so if you don't know what that means, that's the Keller Williams culture system. Jen. Unmute.
Yeah. I had to drag my mouse all the way across the screen. Is something that I've been battling, and I don't know if other people are too, but you know, because I love being comfortable. I'm like, you know, ice, but I am also like I love to go out on the town and wear heels. Like it's so I'm finding it hard to figure out like team leader is very similar to me. And she's because I was like dressing up the first 2 days and I'm like, shit, girl, do I need to wear like I'm struggling because I don't have being a coach and in athletics to like this now. And I'm like, I mean, I don't. So she was like, I don't usually dress up unless I'm meeting with clients, but I also want to be real. But I have a wide spectrum. You know what I mean? So how do you figure out like what your brand is?
Well, you take my branding class because I help you determine that. That's actually genuinely like
Yeah.
You guys are really speaking to me here. So I have a uniform because it's on brand. So this right here, I wear this almost every time I teach. And I have basically 3 versions of a high neck black tank top. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you'll notice I'm very branded. It is authentic. It is genuine. I always wear a midi length skirt and a high neck black tank top. That's what I wear. It's almost like a uniform. Now, for me, it helps me be easy. It helps me be on brand because that works for me. So whenever I first meet with someone, I am gonna be a little bit of a nicer version of myself that day. Having said that, if I've known you for years and I happen to be on the way home from yoga and you needed to see a house real quick, I'm gonna say, "Yo, girl, I'm in my yoga pants. Like, like I just left yoga. My hair, I got, bun on the top of my head," and I let them know. I just let them know ahead of time because I want them to know that that actually isn't how I show up. Like how I normally show up is straight hair, earrings, high neck black tank top. Like that's how I like to show up. So it does depend on how you're putting yourself out there.
Okay.
I remember, so I've been in sales for years, and one of the best pieces of advice is you want to be dressed one step higher than your clients. Just one. So you kind of need to read the room. You kind of need to do some research ahead of time. But for me, even if like my clients are wearing yoga pants to show houses, I'm not. I'm not. If I happen to be on the way home, from working out and it was like a last minute thing, but otherwise the how you do anything is the how you do everything. And I want to show up in a really consistent manner. That's actually more important for me when my branding is that I'm showing up consistently, that they know what to expect with me. Because what if they brought their mom that day? Like I want to make sure that there's like an expectation because the more consistent you are, you're just building trust. It doesn't necessarily matter. You could always wear athletic gear if that's your brand, right? If you're like the sporty realtor, then always wear athletic gear, or something like that, or always wear, your favorite sports team hat. Like that's branding. But it's just a matter of kind of like being consistent along there. And I know a lot of people were kind of chatting about in the chat, like, at Keller Williams, we offer you, we call them conversations, otherwise known as scripts. I I want you guys to know that you're going to be bad at them first before you're good at them. It's really important that you don't be like, "Oh my gosh, well this script doesn't work." It it might work for somebody else as long as you get the vibe of it, and then you can kind of put your tone on it. That's what's going to help, right? Does that make sense? So, yes, there's scripts and duh bears. Yeah. Yes, like there's scripts that, that you can use, but at the end of the day, for instance, when somebody comes into my open house, I literally hand them the pen, right? With the little clipboard, and I'm like, "Hey, can you give me feedback on the house, good, bad, or ugly?" All I'm saying, by the way, is, "Hi, can you please fill out this form? My client would like for you to fill out this form." Isn't it the same thing? I want them to fill out the form. The way that I'm going to say it is, "Can you fill out the form, good or bad or ugly?" And I stare at them like this, until they take it, right? I'm going to get the same result as somebody that's like, "Hello, thank you so much for joining my open house. What brings you in today? Can I please get you to fill out this form for the client?" No, come on. You know what I mean? So like there is a level of owning who you are whenever you're asking for some of these mofers or, something like that. And that's why I love the phrase, "if I would you." If I offered this to you, would you do this for me? And that's the reason I like that is because it's symbiotic. It's bringing them in along the way. I know we just like got a little bit, keep thinking the Southern way of saying mofo. Sorry, that's funny. So any questions about that? I know we kind of like got a little bit sidetracked. Developing your brand is really important though.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't have any questions, but it's just like learning, like you said, learning to brand yourself is definitely a different skill in real estate in itself because it's exactly how you said, it's how you show up and how you present yourself. Sometimes you look at yourself and you're like, oh, I want to be professional, but then I don't want to come off as a person who's just an uptight person that everything is strictly
Yes.
business. But then you don't want to come off as the person who's, oh, he's too playful, he's too chill. Maybe I need someone who's more uptight and more professional. They probably
Yeah.
know what they're doing a little bit more. So it's all about finding
And
that balance.
you're not gonna be a good fit for everyone. I'm not a good fit for everyone. I have lost clients. I've lost listings. But you know what? If your lead generation funnel is full enough, you don't care if you lose clients. And that is freedom, like in real estate, right? And when I think about like all that kind of stuff, it's just a matter of if the universe, if I feel like somebody, like an outside source is telling me how I should act, I should be more formal, I should be more laid back, I should be more professional, I should be this, then that's a no for me. Like, I know who I am in my heart. I know that I am trustworthy. I know that I follow through. I do what I say I'm going to do. I am courageous. I am honest. I care deeply about my clients, and I'm smart. So these are the things that I know deeply about myself. And as long as I'm aligned with those, then my clients don't care if I say shit or if I have tattoos. That's really important. So, and I think everybody should just take my branding class. But let's brainstorm some more ideas though, because I do want us to have some practical ideas. So there's a couple, and I know you guys talked about a couple of these is you can even send to a client, say for instance, you have a client that was looking in a neighborhood or looking with a house with a pool. You can just randomly set an alarm for yourself to look for houses with pools. And you can say, oh my gosh, did you see this house with a pool? Do you want to go see it today? That is a make offer for immediate response, right? So that you can say, for instance, interest, there are certain cities that house prices have been plummeting. So I would learn what your market stats are in your city and be like, did you know that 37% of homes had price reductions? I know that this neighborhood wasn't in your price range, but I wonder if we could get a deal. Something like that, you know? Let's see. There was one other. Oh, you can also do something about like sending them a report or sending them an update, either a home value report or a neighborhood report. And like I said, a list of events, a list of your vendors, things like that. Any other ideas?
Um, Food spots in the area. Like if you're familiar with a certain area and you know like a lot of like good eating spots, you
Oh my
just say,
gosh, yeah.
yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Even, I mean, if you just thought about like top 10 barbecue spots, like I live in, like we got barbecue here, like top 10 barbecue spots, something like that. And the deal is like some of those things they might not give you their email address for, but think about even if you met somebody in person and y'all were talking about it, what if y'all were talking about barbecue? You're like, you're out and about, you're like, oh man, I just had this barbecue spot. Be like, you know what? I have kind of like my top 10 list. Do you want me to shoot that over to you in a text? All right, cool, cool. Put your number in here. Like, how chill is that? Like, it doesn't have to be so. And then you have their, now they don't know that you're in real estate yet. That's why you have to have a content marketing strategy and send them other things so that they then learn that you're in real estate. That makes sense?
Mhm.
So I'm going to show you guys, would it be helpful for you guys to see my touch plan? No? Okay. I'm going to show you guys my touch plan. Okay. These are my content marketing strategies. this is the kind of stuff that I teach. So like in the branding class. So, but you're going to see these are some of them aren't MOFers. Some of them are only one-sided. Some of them are two-sided. Okay. Okay, cool. So these are my platforms. I send out a blog, a newsletter, Instagram. These are my topics. You were talking about what to talk about. So these are my pillars. These are the things that I talk about. All that kind of stuff. But this is my touch plan. So I send out a newsletter once a month. I write a blog once a month. I put that blog in the newsletter. If I have new listings or open houses, I'm going to put that in the newsletter. Okay. So far, none of this is super complicated, right? I do a postcard once a month. Once a month. That's it. Now, if you're a new agent and you don't have revenue coming in, don't do this. Skip this step. Don't spend the money. Okay. Home anniversaries or birthdays. And then I do 3 events a year: yoga, a happy hour, and a Halloween event. And then I give out an ornament. This is my touch plan. This is my 36 touch. By the way, I touch my clients 62 times in a year. Okay? Does that make sense? Can you see kind of how this puts together? So my client newsletter, that's 1 a month. A blog post is 1 a month. I write my blog, I put it in my newsletter. I also put my blog on Instagram, right? I at least post something related to real estate once a month, and I put it in my newsletter and on Instagram. And then, birthdays or home anniversaries or whatever it is. And then, so I don't do Christmas cards. This is my opportunity. So I guess I do 61 times. Now, for my events, I touch them at least 4 times each, if not 7 times. So I send out a save the date text. I send out emails. And then I'll send out the registration link. I'll send out a little graphic. So it's usually at least 4 times for my yoga event, my happy hour, and my Halloween. Okay?
Whitney,
Sometimes I'll do a post.
for your yoga event, what do you teach the yoga or what?
No, I bring, I have a copy of my playbook. So I have a spot for 30 clients. They have to sign up. They can go to my yoga event. I don't teach it. My favorite yoga instructor teaches it. We go to my yoga studio. So all I have to do is invite people and they show up, but they have to sign the registration link. And then my lender or my attorney pays for it. It's usually about $500.
Okay.
Yep.
That
Now that's
sounds
because I
good.
have relationship with my lender. So one of the things that you can do before you and the relationship with my lender or attorney, one of the things that you can do before that is you can just host a happy hour but not pay for it, right? Like you can just coordinate an event but not pay for it. You can also coordinate, especially if you live in a neighborhood, like an HOA kind of a neighborhood. You could coordinate a popsicle truck to be outside of the pool. Not pay for it, but you could coordinate it. And you can tell all the neighbors and you can touch them 4 times. You can put a little flyer in their mailbox. You can door knock the neighborhood. So you can do some of the things like this.
Okay.
And then they can come to the event. So the offer is, if I invited you, will you come? If I send you a home evaluation, would you send me your home address, right?
Yeah.
So that's what some of these are about. If I would you.
So
Okay.
I wasn't in your last class. Can I get your information as far as your branding class?
Yeah, I
Is that
will. I'll
email?
send you. We're about to finish this particular section, and then
Okay.
it goes through the survey, and then you guys will be able to follow me, and I'll send that to you guys so that you can get on that.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Of course. If anybody is in North Carolina, I am teaching it several times. I'm teaching it in Waynesville, Garner, which is outside of Raleigh. Okay, so 2 times. Oh, and Greenville, South Carolina. So just so that you guys know. All right. let's get back into this. So hopefully we have some good MOFers. MOFers, you can do a lead form. So you can use command lead forms, or you can just ask, ask for it online. You can do a Google form. I like a Google form too. The command forms are nice because it goes directly into your database if you do what's called a landing page in command. So that's what we kind of just did. Okay. So if you have 200 contacts in your database and you touch them 36 times, that's 7,200 touches. That's why we want to create systems around our touch plans, right? That's why, and here's the thing, right out the gate, are you going to have 62 touches like I have? Maybe not. But let's start with 12 with your email. Let's start with 12 more with the neighborhood nurture. Let's start with 4 more a year with the quarterly call plans. Like go ahead and just like start one at a time and create the systems around it until you have your full 36 to convert or what have you. Okay, let's see. So you can start the number of people. One of the things too, I know Jen, you were talking about like you have people in multiple places, but also do you guys have people that are acquaintances versus people that you like super know? I would tag people in your command database with met versus not met or VIP and not. And then just make sure that you're like really focusing on your VIPs. And then your main goal is to add people into your VIP list. Does that make sense? So if you have like, say 500 people in your database, but you really only know about 100 of them well, which is normal, by the way, then your goal is to kind of like how many people in that 400 group can you start like slowly adding into that 100 group to where you have a deeper relationship with them. And then of those 100 people, can you move from being friends to evangelicals? And what I mean by that is I have clients that I consider evangelicals. They literally will be like, you're an idiot if you don't use Winnie. That's the type of like loyalty that you want. Like my contractor, John, because of him, I've done 7 deals. That's pretty good. You know what I mean? So that's some of the types of relationships that you can have. Two of those deals were his, 5 were referrals. Like his friends or family or friends of a friend or stuff like that. So that's kind of what you want to start building from here. Okay. And these are the smart plans. You guys are going to talk about that in your technology class, but you can add people to these. Okay. You can run a smart plan that's a custom smart plan as well. Versus, you can obviously put people on the quarterly call plan, but you can do some others as well. You can make them from scratch. But I would always recommend searching the smart plan library first because a lot of people already have them in there. So why reinvent the wheel? I always search the smart plan library and find like 2 or 3 that are kind of cool and then make them my own, All right. What ideas or mindsets, new ideas or mindsets do y'all have from today? You can put it in the chat or whatever you feel comfortable with.
Hi, Winnie.
Hi.
Hi. What my takeaway is really tapping into your clients. The first thing that came to my mind was finding out at least maybe 3 things about them that they're passionate about or that they really like, and then utilizing that, to connect with them for any reason, whatever, like you said, a list of things that they're interested in. And the first thing that came to my mind was like for children, if there's family events going on near their home that they might not know about, or even their pets, sending them some type of advertisement or a card or something with a a doggy treat attached to it, if they have pets, but just finding out 3 things about each client that
Yeah.
they're really passionate about, and then just adding it to that list of their information. And back to you.
Yeah, yeah, awesome, awesome. I love that. And you can tag them as such. So I don't have a ton of tags, but I have enough tags. For instance, my dad was a firefighter for 45 years, so I have a tag for all of my firefighters, right? So there's some of them, say for instance, they have kids. I have a tag for kids. All my clients that have kids versus don't have kids. Because if there is a kid-friendly event, I want to make sure that they're seeing it. Now, am I going to send it to everybody? Potentially, but potentially I might even just look at that list and be like, ooh, Jake and Susie would love that event. So I can just text them real quick. You just kind of like, it's just like letting people know that you're thinking of them too, you know? Fatima?
Had a question. So I have a few potential leads in my pipeline, and like I know they have future real estate needs, and like I struggle with the part where like I connect them to the lender, but then like they won't fill out the application or like, and then it's like I'll try to stay in contact by like giving them something of value, but it's like I don't want to force it on them to, like keep bothering them. But what would you do if you feel like you've been sending them things of value and you know for a fact they do have a real estate need, but they just might be kind of scared to pursue it, maybe?
Yeah. Well, I think a couple things that you can do with that. One, whenever I send them my lender, I always do that as a three-way text because I always want to know whenever they have the conversation with the lender. So so literally my lender, I can see, oh, tomorrow at 3 p.m., Matt and Sarah have a meeting. So I, first of all, have visibility to it. So that's one of the things, if you're not already doing, that I do recommend you doing. The other thing too is really what Amanda just said is, at the end of the day, they have to be not just ready, willing, and able, but they have to be able, willing, and ready. And so, at the end of the day, your job is to lead generate and lead follow up. If they're not ready, then they're not ready. And so just making sure that you keep up on them and follow up with them. And then the last minute thing that I would do would be like a mofer. So I would, and even if you said, hey, let's go get coffee, not related to real estate, I would be like, let's go get coffee. I just wanted to check in. And then you can actually have like a heart-to-heart conversation because it could just be that they're scared and they might just kind of subtly ask those questions. You might need to do a buyer consultation or something like that. And yes, Estefania, I do a group text, just 3 texts. I don't use Twilio. I did use Twilio at one point, but I'm on my phone more than I'm on my laptop. So for me, just a 3-way text is the easiest one. Did that help a little bit, Fatima?
Yeah, I was already like making the group chat with the lender and all of us three. I think, and I've also been giving them things of value, but I'm gonna do what you said, like maybe going out with them and getting something
Yeah.
to eat, and then maybe having a heart-to-heart conversation. Because I feel like in person you can read the room better and really see
Yes.
what's going on. Thank you so
Well,
much.
of course, yeah, yeah. So that's what I do too but I make it subtle. Like I'm not trying to push them, you know what I mean? It's not my money. I'm not trying to spend $300,000, you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I want to make sure that they're comfortable, but they might not feel comfortable asking you those questions until y'all get in person. And I would make sure this is me being really real with you guys. Like if you go out, make sure that like if you drink, like don't be getting crazy. Like if you're going out in a professional way, I would just invite you to have discretion about how you do that. I'm just saying that out loud, not for you, Fatima, but just in general, is making sure that, because you're talking about money and you are a professional. So just keep that in mind. And I like to party, don't get me wrong. And I host happy hours. So it's not like I'm saying that. I just want to make sure that, especially if you are having a heart-to-heart conversation that, that you're reading the room. So no dancing on the bar. Girl, no, just kidding. There's a couple of my clients that have seen me dance, not on a bar, but next to the bar. I'm not gonna lie. All right, awesome. Okay, we're going to switch gears a little bit. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to put a link in the chat box. I would love, love, love. So I'm a Keller Williams University certified instructor. I am going out to be a master faculty member, of which there's only 50 in the entire company. So because of that, I do need over 300 surveys and I need to teach Ignite more than one time. Not need to, I get to, you know, I love to do this. So like I get to teach Ignite more than one time. And so if you guys could please, I just put it in the chat box, but if you could fill out this little form, fill out this survey, it's going to ask you specifically what your name is. If it's a regional event, it's obviously not regional, what your region is. So a lot of you are mid-Atlantic, it looks like, you know, or the Carolinas or DC or all those. And then it'll ask you who I am. I'm Winnie Rogers. Oh wait, my name is on there. And then it'll ask what class this is. This is number, I think it's number 12. Let me make sure I got that right. Number 12, yep. This is number 12, strengthen relationships. And if you guys could offer me feedback, I do want to always get better. I know that Zoom is always a little bit tough as well. So I appreciate you guys being on here. But if you guys could take the time to do that, it will also put you in my web for my agent referral newsletters. So if some of the little systems that I've shared with you are interesting to you, just know that this will kind of get you on my radar so that if there's any events or anything that I'm doing, that you guys will have some awareness around that. Cool. We are super running late on time. So I want to still take a couple of minutes to do some sort of a lead generation. So what I would love for you guys to do is I want you to text 10 people. You guys are ready for this? It's going to be a speed-based thing. Text 10 people. Hey, remind me when your birthday is. That's all I want you to text them. I want it to say, hey, remind me when your birthday is. That's what I want you to text them. Text 10 people. The first person to do that, I want you to put in the chat or actually, don't put it in the chat. The first person, I want you to raise your hand in Zoom, and I'll be offering you a free branding consult like Rachel got yesterday. Oh my gosh, Amanda already finished. Boom. That was so fast. Okay, that was like freakishly fast, Amanda. I mean, very talented. All right, Amanda, I want you to
Copy and paste works amazing.
Yeah, copy and paste. Okay, I still want everybody to do this. How about I offer one more? How about I offer one more? Next person, raise their hand. Debbie. All right, Amanda and Debbie. I want you guys to text me and we're going to get on the calendar for a branding consult, okay? Now, here's the deal, you guys. If you weren't quite as speedy as Amanda and Debbie, I want you guys to just hopefully consider how easy it is to get this information from folks. It's literally as easy as texting, hey, remind me when your birthday is. It's not, oh my gosh, Fatima, that's amazing. Like, it's not that hard, right? You know what I mean? It's like, and maybe you never knew when their birthday is. Do you think they're going to notice? So it can be just as easy as that. Okay. All right. Any questions about this, about how to strengthen relationships before we move on, how to qualify buyers and sellers? This part's going to help you with some of the categorizing, especially Fatima with that question that you just had. This part's really going to help with that. Everybody everybody filled out the survey? I just put it in the chat one more time. Filled out survey. I want you to text your people, hey, remind me when your birthday is. That's your homework. Will you guys put in the chat if you promise to do your homework? Just say, yes, I promise to do my homework. Or yes. Promise to do your homework? Right hand up. I promise to do my homework. Yay. You guys are so good. It like makes me so happy to see you guys promise to do your homework. I'm such a nerd. Okay. I also wanted to be a teacher since I was 4, so this is like hitting my little heart, so thank you. All right, let's go into qualifying buyers and sellers. I love this section. Okay, qualified buyers and sellers. If it's cool with you guys, I'm going to probably talk a little bit fast. Y'all cool with that? Okay. All right. We're going to find the motivated people. We're going to classify the able, ready, and willing. Isn't that funny? It's like we just talked about this. And then qualify the buyers and sellers. So your number one job as a real estate agent is to find ways to get in the path of motivated buyers and sellers. I remember my team leader says all the time, he said that one of his mentors said that your job is to get in between where money is passed, right? So if you think about it, we are between a client, like a buyer and a seller. That's our job, right? To get where money is passing hands. So we want to talk about how to find the motivated people at first. And I think it's really, really important to notice is they have to be motivated more so than, but they also have to be able to do it, right? You know, they can want it. And then some people kind of need to, but they're too scared. So there's like kind of different ways, and we're going to go over some of those classifications today. So what myths do you hold? So what are some myths that are about buyers and sellers? I think one of the phrases that I've heard a lot is buyers are liars. Does anybody think that you have to spend money to get leads? Sometimes. Because that's, for some people, that's one of the myths, is that you have to like spend money. If y'all could if we could have more people that had their camera on, that would make me really happy. So I would love to just see like, you know, at least some thumbs up or nods or something. That would be amazing. Thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's see. Or one of the things is that if you don't invest in it, that you won't be successful. Or it could be one of the myth understandings too is that when a buyer or a seller says a year, just so that you guys know, that usually means 6 to 8 months. So I want to be like, let you guys know whenever somebody's like, well, I'm like a year out. If you start following up with them now, believe it or not, that year usually turns into about 8 months. There's some sort of scientific fact around that, because that happens all the time. So it's up to you guys to now know that information, so that when somebody says 6 months, they really mean 4. Just know that that's just kind of a common thing that happens, because are human beings, people, like, do we usually want like instant gratification? Right? So it's like the split second where like, and if you guys like, say for instance, you needed to buy a new dining room table and you're like, well, I can wait until Thanksgiving. How many of us are going to buy it within the next couple of months? You know what I mean? Even though like you don't really need it until Thanksgiving. That is part of where like kind of the psychology of buyers and sellers sometimes happen. You know, once it like gets in your mindset, it's like once you think about a white Jeep, all you're going to be able to see is a white Jeep over and over and over again. It's part of part of that is kind of like a bold law. So these are some stats we talked about before. Remember that buyers, it's 47% is from a friend referring them, and 57% if it is a first-time home buyer, and then repeat buyers. Now, here's the crazy thing. For buyers, did you know that only 13% of buyers will use their same agent? Does that hurt your heart a little bit? It hurts mine. I'm gonna just be super frank. It's our fault if that happens. That's our fault. We didn't put them on a 36 touch plan. We didn't move them from a B relationship to an A relationship. We didn't continue to work on that relationship. We just sold them a house and we were transactional. Are some real estate agents transactional? Is that the type of agent that we want to be? I would hope not, right? So, and just know that some of the home buyers did find their agent through these other spots as well, right? Let me just answer this question real quick. For the newsletter, I'll send one to you guys. So just make sure that when you guys filled out that survey, you're in my web now. So I'll make sure that I send out some newsletters for you guys. You'll see some examples of that. I have one on my website that I sell actually that got 56% open rate. So you guys will have some access to that. Okay, now this is about sellers. Okay, so sellers they have similar numbers, 47%, right? So just know that it's really similar. And then but sellers are a little bit more likely to use their agent again. And part of that, why do you think that is actually? Trust. Yes, Rachel, definitely. Because they did.
Keeping in touch, you kept in touch with them?
Yeah, you kept in touch. And a lot of the times, if you're selling, you're also buying. So you kind of like sometimes it's almost like a gimme. Does that make sense? So sometimes they're just using both. Let's see. Just want to see if there's any other data. Sometimes there's stats in my notes. I want to make sure that we don't have any stats. And so this just kind of shows you how to use command opportunities, or just shares with you a little bit about that. Your tech class is going to go over this. I love command opportunities. This helps me deliver high-level customer service. This is basically helps you follow up, right? We talked about that lead generation is your number one job and lead follow-up is your number two job, right? So this helps you whenever they're in that cold stage. Or Fatima, this is actually a perfect example, of whenever they're not quite ready yet, you're going to keep them in kind of like that cultivate stage. And you're going to know that if they're in that cultivate stage, you need to maybe bug them a little bit more often, right? So you can kind of see that in here. I love command opportunities. This is one of my favorite applets in Command. Okay, now this is the part I want to talk about now. So we're going to classify your able, willing, and ready people. So even though like all leads and contacts might have the same potential, right? Everybody might need to buy or sell a home. They're not all created equal. They might not have great credit. They might not have enough for a down payment. They might not really be able to move because their kids are in a certain daycare, and In order to move, they'd have to spend more money. So there's all sorts of factors. There's also, for instance, anxiety, right? That there's all different levels of what people feel comfortable with around that. Jen?
Yeah, just a quick question regarding command, because you love the opportunity section. Do you have to create a task or
Yes.
something in order to create the opportunity? Okay.
Yep. So,
Okay.
so you have to create the contact first, then you can create the opportunity. You can go into opportunities and do a one-time thing called edit stages where you can input all of the tasks at every stage, for all of them for buyers, all of them for sellers. And then every time you add a new buyer or add a new seller, it'll automatically add them to that task list. It's pretty cool. So you add your kind of process in first, and then every time you add a client, you'll see their little checklist next to their names for each of your little steps.
Okay, I'm struggling because the team I just joined is using Brivity.
Okay. So they are going to have that too, in theory, in Brivity.
Yeah. And they want me, I'm supposed to enter stuff in command for contracts for DocuSign and all that. But then Brivity.
So your lead follow-up system, basically your sections 1 through 4 are all in Brivity. Your section 5 is in command. Like your documents and your compliance is only in command.
Okay.
But just know that what I shared with you about like those pipelines, like the checklists and stuff, Brivity has that as well.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yep. Cool. Okay. Focus becomes increasingly possible in direct proportion to how clear you are about what you want. So this kind of, when buyers and sellers know what they want, when they want it, you remember those 6 questions that we talked about? What do they want? When do they want it? Why do they want it? How do they want it? Whenever you help your buyer or your seller know why they want to sell, when they want to sell, why they want to buy, how they want to buy, like what type of loan they want to use, all that kind of stuff, then they become more clear, right? And whenever you're clear, whenever there's less noise, then you become a more willing, ready, and able buyer. So it's our job to kind of clear out some of that noise and help them kind of self-discover so that we can eventually get them to a transaction.
Okay, can you say them questions one more time for me?
Yep. So it is how, when, so when they want to buy or sell, why they want to buy or sell, how they want to buy and sell, where they want to buy or move to. I think that was it. And then what they're selling, are they selling a townhouse or a piece of land?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So it's basically like what, where, when, where, why, how. those 5 W's. All right, now we're going to talk about, this is like a really important part. And this, whenever you first get started in real estate, you want everybody to be a buyer or a seller. And the fact is that that's not happening, right? So it's our job to discern when somebody is able, willing, and ready. So if you guys are taking notes, I would write this down. An able client is someone that is financially and legally able to make a transaction. For instance, they financially have enough money for the down payment. Now, if they're a seller, they have to be up to date on their mortgages, or else they might not be able to legally sell their house, right? If they're upside down on their mortgage. So the bank might have some stake in that. Does that make sense? So they have to be able to buy or to sell. Maybe they have a lien against their house because they owe back taxes or back HOA fees, so they can't sell the house. Or if they do, you just have to have extra paperwork. But you need to know these things about them, right? So able means a potential client is financially and legally capable of completing a transaction. Now, the second one is ready, that they are motivated and prepared to make strategic decisions, that they're motivated and prepared, that they want to basically, and that they can, that they have the means to do so and the desire to do so. It's really about the desire and the means. Now, willing, because a lot of people might be willing to buy, but they don't got any money, right? They might be willing to sell, but they don't know where they're going to go, or their house is a mess, right? So the last one is willing, that the client is eager to buy or sell or both. When we as humans have heard this phrase, we usually say ready, willing, and able. But here I want you guys to understand this mind shift of it is able first. That's why we qualify buyers and sellers. That's why we ask, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what do you owe on your mortgage? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, do you have any liens against the property? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, why do you want to leave the property? Where are you going to go? Are you going to downsize? Are you going to upsize? Who's going to help you clean out the property? Right? So these are some of those qualifying questions that we might ask to make sure that they are even able to buy. And here's the deal. I love that they say on here, come from curiosity. It's not our business if they are able to. It's our business to get curious about if they are able to, right? Can we help them? You know, like if the house is full of junk, could we hire a clean out service? Yes. But we won't know that unless we ask really strong qualifying questions in order to even determine if they are able or what might be potentially stopping them. So whenever you put this together, this kind of becomes the starting point for our cold, warm, and hot. And some people call it A, B, or C clients. Okay? And you can categorize them as that if you want. So let's look at what an A, B, or C client could look like. So an A client, they are able, ready, and willing. They could buy tomorrow, right? Or they could put something under contract tomorrow. Sometimes when I get a referral, like from another agent, they've already talked to a lender, or maybe they just need to talk to a lender, but otherwise they're good to go, right? These are the people we want, like, to make money now. Here's the thing. We need all three. Do we need to eat in 61 days? Yeah. So we want A clients, B clients, and C clients. That's really important to know. This is called a pipeline. So you want to have, you know, people that are closing, like I already have people that are closing in, you know, July and October with new construction. I need to eat in July, right? So it's, even though, sure, would it be nice for them to maybe close tomorrow, but I need to eat in July too. So that's great. So then a B client would be more like 15 to 60 days, and then a C client would be 61 beyond. And those just need to be put on drip campaigns, right? Now, here's the thing when we're talking about those MOFers. A clients, they're ready. They don't need a MOFer. They're ready, right? C clients, you kind of put on a 36 touch and almost like automations and a set it and forget it. Those B clients, sometimes you can do a MOFer and get them to turn into a 15-day. So, Amanda, what were you confused about with the A clients, B clients, C clients?
And I just took a bite of my supper. That's not what I'm confused about. What I'm confused about is you said that it's not our business to know if they're able, but that is our business, right? Like,
yeah,
I mean, that's our
I
business
think
to know that.
just misspoke. It's not our business to try to fix it for them unless we can. You know, like it's here, this is a better way to put it. We are unattached from the outcome. Like if we're not trying to convince anyone to buy or sell, we are unattached from the outcome. We can help them determine whether or not there might be some resources, but I guess that's what I mean is it's not our business to convince. Thank you for that.
All right.
Yeah.
I was
you're right.
confused for a second.
Yeah. I did not say that very well. So thank you. Yep. Okay, so when we're looking at the A clients, B clients, C clients, and for me, C clients are usually more like 90 or more days out, if I'm being really honest with you. Like 60 days is still pretty quick in my market. So I do want to just honor that a C client could be a little bit different in your market. Somebody 60 days out, we're looking at how, or like we're starting to look at houses within the next 2 or 3 weeks. That's pretty active in my market. So I do want to just kind of honor that depending on your market and how quick things are moving, that might be a little bit different for you. Is that fair to say? Okay, cool.
Can I add something too?
Yeah.
It's funny that you were mentioning that because it totally just connected with my team leader, what she told me today, which I feel like a lot of people that are new coming into it don't realize that you kind of get excited like in your first couple deals, and then you're so hyper focused on them that you're on getting those ready. And so like that's true. Like how you said, you got to eat in 60 days or 90 days, whatever.
Yep.
You know,
Yes.
you got to like once those deals are done, or once you've got them kind of rolling, then you need to start working all of that. And I think we get like overly excited, right? Is that what happens?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All the time.
Yeah. Okay.
And just imagine, you know, when I remember like, excuse me, the first few deals I had, I feel like I only had one client because I was like, oh my gosh, we have one closing. And the only thing I did was serve that one client for 30 days. Okay. At the end of the day, but then what happens whenever you kind of get a pipeline, you're going to have 5 clients and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And that's why, you know, you might hire a transaction coordinator, but that's also why you need these systems in place, like your opportunity pipeline set up with those checklists to make sure, and those smart plans and those 36 touches and all these automations, because a lot of you, and I saw before that a lot of you have a goal of more than one per month, you know? So you want to make sure that you are focusing on that. But if your only job is just serving one client for 30 days, you're going to be hungry, you know? Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go into kind of some of the ways to qualify. Now, in Command or like on your team, you're going to have, there's pre-qualification like questionnaires. You can also just Google that, just, you know, buyer questionnaire, seller questionnaire. That's really what they're called, is a buyer questionnaire, a seller questionnaire. And you're going to find out, this is where you're asking some of those questions like, why are you moving? Where are you moving? When are you moving? You know, like you're going to ask some of those things, and you're going to get some of the information that you might need. So when you're putting some of this together, you might want to ask them for certain, you can have like a buyer questionnaire or a seller questionnaire, like a document. You can follow a checklist. And then, of course, you know, we need to abide by all federal fair housing regulations. So your qualifying leads at each stage, you know, this is how I do a buyer one. I always do a text message to set up a phone call. I do the phone call is my preliminary buyer consultation. I don't usually ask them a lot about what kind of house they want. I ask about their motivation. I ask about their timeline so that I know when we should meet. If they say, hey, Winnie, I want to start looking next week, I need to be in Charleston by June, then I'll set up an in-person meeting, usually at a coffee shop. After that coffee shop meeting, usually the same day, we'll go ahead and start to see houses. So that first call, that's why I'm asking when they want to move. Because if they want to move next week, I need to start booking showings now, right? So we want to make sure that we're asking these questions, and also that we're not assuming that they want to move yesterday. Some of them want to look at a few different neighborhoods first to figure out where they want to move. Once we determine those neighborhoods, then, you know, narrow it down to say 2 or 3 neighborhoods, then we're going to start really looking. And then on the other hand, with sellers, you want to understand when they want to move. They're like, well, just by the end of the year. Okay, well, what about, the end of the year makes sense for you? Well, like I want to move before Christmas. Okay, well, now we're talking about not the end of the year, right? So you have to ask some of those questions. One of the most important questions that you can ask is, what is important about that to you? So I want to move by the end of the year. What is important about that to you? I want a fenced in backyard. What is important about that to you? Like those types of things. I want to live in this neighborhood. Great. What's important about that neighborhood to you? Oh, you love that there's a pool. That's so great. Now you know that there might also be another neighborhood with a pool next door, but they didn't know that, but you did because you know the area, right? So that's why you ask some of those questions, because you just don't know what you don't know.
So I got a quick question for you. So
Yeah.
I was talking to one of my coworkers who is potentially looking for a home. Basically, he wants to use the home as a rental whenever he gets time to, or like to, build it up so he can rent it out. So he's looking for January 2026. So I didn't give him the questionnaire. I just let him know, like, okay, where are you looking at? What type of home are you looking for? And then I was just going to put him on the search for MLS to send him a couple of townhomes. But I didn't like make him sign anything or give him the buyer questionnaire since it's not until January 2026. So is that like did I do it right, or should I have filled out a questionnaire for him?
I usually don't have them fill it out. Some people do, some people don't. So that part's up to you. I would just, it sounds like you asked the question, like a decent amount of the questions. Now, I would say if he wants an investment property, those are oftentimes harder to find. So you would want to look sooner. So for instance, we're almost in June. That's 6 months out. Sometimes it takes more than 2 or 3 months to find an investment property. But I do think what I definitely think you did right was going ahead and adding him on the MLS list. And what I would say is, hey, I know that you want to purchase around January. And I know that sometimes getting a really strong investment property can be a challenge in this market. So I want to just check. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to check in with you once a month and then just ask for permission to check in more often. Or you can even ask, if we did see a property tomorrow, would you be able to pull the trigger? Because I also want to make sure that how serious should I be looking on behalf of you as your realtor? Because you
Right.
want to make sure, because what if you weren't looking because you thought that they wanted January and the best one ever passes by, but they said January. So you can ask them permission to be like, well, if I see a really good one, is it okay if I send it to you like ASAP? They're gonna say yes. And then potentially they could buy tomorrow if they're able. That's where
Right.
that able part comes in.
Right. Got you. Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And Rachel, I know that there is one for renters. I would have to Google that. But because I personally I don't have experience working with renters, but I know that if you did a rental questionnaire, that would be in there. That would definitely be on the internet. Okay, so here is an example of buyer lead sheet. Yeah, ChatGPT would help with that, definitely. Here's an example of a buyer lead sheet. You do want to make sure that all of the decision makers, like that's one of the big questions to make sure. And you're going to go into this way more in depth in the next 2 days. You guys are going to talk about buyers and sellers, but just know that you want to understand their motivation. You want to understand their timeline. You want to understand why they're using the house, or like how they're using the house. For instance, you might be like, duh, Winnie, they're sleeping in it. But for instance, one of the things that I think is important is when you're at home, what do you like to do in the house? When you're not at home, what do you like to do? Because you're going to determine whether or not they need a really nice porch because maybe that's what they do. And you're going to also determine whether or not they need to be close to downtown or close to medical facilities. So there's definitely some really specific questions that you want to ask on either side of that.
Are those forms in Command?
They're not in Command. Oh, yes, they are. If you go to Connect in
Okay.
Command, Connect in Command is our big kind of like repository of information. So you're going to be able to find a lot in there. Okay, we're finishing up now. So just like I said, with A buyers, you're going straight for it, or A buyers and sellers, you're going straight into it. And then B and C, you're going to put them on touch plans. That makes sense, right? And then there's also pre-listing questionnaire. One of the main things that you want to make sure is you're going to ask, how much do you want to list your home for? Like, I always like to see like what they think first. And then you are going to ask what they owe on their house, you know, and so you would just ask, hey, do you still have a mortgage or do you have a mortgage balance? And they're going to say yes or no. And if they do, you can just say, great. If you share with me what that balance is, then I can run a seller net sheet. And there's still calculators for seller net sheet online as well. Okay, I know we're getting to the end of class and I want to make sure that I am hitting this. The same with, so, you know, with both buyers and sellers, you're going to add them to whichever the 36 touch smart plan. You're going to follow up with them. You're going to convert. You want to stay top of mind by offering MOFRs, and then of course doing events, doing your quarterly call plan, and strengthening your relationships. Then once they get to the point where potentially they are ready to buy or sell, then you want to pre-qualify them before you go and waste your time. And I won't show houses without a signed buyer agreement. I mean, I won't show a house unless they're pre-approved. You know, so I'm just not going to do that because my time is really valuable and so is yours. So I want also to just kind of make sure that you guys are factoring that in as you're building your relationship, that you're setting standards for yourself as a professional real estate agent, that you're working with buyers that are able, willing, and ready, not just willing, right? Like, our time is important. We're getting into real estate most likely because of time and financial freedom. And so we want to go ahead and set that up right out the gate. All right. I would love to hear or type in the chat box, what is the first thing you are going to do after we get off the call to build your business, to either strengthen relationships or to help you qualify buyers and sellers?
And can I ask a question?
Yeah, I love that. Send Christmas cards. Yep. Get those addresses. Figure out surveys. Yep. Love that. You can go to Google Forms. Great idea. Start reaching out. Invites to referral network. Reaching out on social media. Remember with social media, just posting is not enough. You have to comment, you have to DM, or else honestly, posting is a waste of your time. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
How do you overcome buyer objections? Like things like my credit's not ready right now, or I'm just looking, I'm not really thinking about buying. I'm just being nosy and looking, like those type of objections.
Well, I would say one of the things that I would do is I would believe them that they aren't looking, you know, and make sure that you go get more A clients, right? Because those are C clients. We need C clients, right? But that might be a C client. The other thing too is I would three-way them, you know, put their money where their mouth is. If they're like, listen, I'm working on my credit, be like, I love that. That's so amazing. You know, like you can make big strides with your credit in a really short period of time. If you'd like, I can text you with my credit repair person. Would that be okay? And then if they say no, then they're a C client.
Gotcha.
You
Makes
know,
sense.
it's like, go get
Mhm.
more A's, right? Go get more A's and B's.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so this was section 13, qualify the buyer and seller. So I'm going to ask you guys once again, please, 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 if you will click this link right here, because this technically is 2 different classes that we taught. I know I rushed through the second one, so apologies, but I also wanted to try to end as close to 8 o'clock as we possibly could for you guys. So if you guys could click on this, and then, like I said, this will get you access to, I'll let you guys know whenever we do the branding survey, or I'm sorry, the branding series and some of the other goodies that I've told you about, okay? What do you do with the birth dates? You're going to put them on the birthday smart plan in Command. Yep. Oh, you thought we did 13 last week? Holy moly. This one is called, yeah, this one's called number 13, qualifying buyers. Yeah, qualify buyers and sellers.
Yeah, I swear we did like 13 and 14 last week. Didn't we, people?
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
I agree.
Who
I think that's a little bit repetitive, but good.
Yeah.
Awesome. I know, because I taught the week before last where we were following, or where we were doing generate more leads and like following up with leads.
You
The
did
number of
number
ignites for
11.
this, Fatima, is 13. I will say each of the Ignite classes, one of the things that they do is it's like they teach you something and they teach you something and it overlaps. It almost looks like this, where it's like this and then like this, and then like this, and then like this, where they overlap every time to try to like, you know, I'm not saying that that's what this was, but
I have a question,
yeah.
Whitney. I guess you could say I farmed a small neighborhood nearby, but basically what I did is I had a flyer regarding about myself and Keller Williams attached to a food drive. Basically, I was collecting food for a local food pantry.
Okay.
And I basically, the people who answered the doors, I made sure I kind of jotted down their address and their names.
Okay.
And then anyone who donated, when I went to pick up, I did like a porch pickup situation a week later. I basically took note of whoever donated. So I'm getting ready to put thank you cards out. In the thank you card, I'm going to put my contact information, my QR code, to the KW through the KW app. And then I guess I'm just at a point where it's like, besides thanking them for their conversation or their contributions, what other little blurbs could I put in there to kind of gear it towards real estate? And that's where I'm struggling, because they're more leads right now. They're not contacts.
Totally. So one of the things with a farm is you have to touch them a shit ton of times. I'm just going to say it. Like you have to kind of hammer them home. So whatever you do, just know that you're going to have to do this a lot for at least 6 months. Farms are pretty much a year commitment. So the first thing that I would do is I would say, if I can provide some of the things that I provide for a farm would be a real estate value analysis, a complimentary home equity analysis, however you want to call it. Basically, it's a CMA. And then, or you can also just proactively provide it for them. That is like some next level customer service. The other thing that you can do is say, you know what, I have an incredible vendor list. Your home is gorgeous. Like, you know, if there's any vendors that you ever need, let me know. Or you can even ask them for who their lawn person is. Like, say, for instance, their lawn person's great. So I would do something a little handwritten potentially with each of them too. As long as it wasn't like 100 of them.
Yeah, it'll be handwritten.
Oh, okay,
I'm just
great.
trying to how I can gear it, to just kind of get back on the subject of real estate, or
Yeah. I would just say,
without being too
if you can,
pushy.
yeah, just offer a home value analysis or a home equity analysis, whatever you want to call it. And then also just offer something like, if I can ever help you with your real estate needs, just know that I'm always here. I'm one of your neighbors. I'm always here and I would love to meet up, something like that.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you.
Mhm. And then the thing though, Nicole, is you kind of have to keep doing that several times. One of the next things that I would do, you can organize a food truck for the neighborhood and not pay for it, but just organize it and have it be right in front of your house. And that's if you did that once a month, boom, you would be everybody's best friend. So think about
Yeah,
some of those types of things too.
it's just my neighborhood, and it's a very small neighborhood. It's only like maybe 60 homes.
Great, that's even better. Then what I would do is I would start to give them like a free a coupon or whatever. You know what I mean? That's even better that it's only 60 because you can actually
Yeah.
create relationships with 60 people. You can't with 600.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that.
And there were a few that I had really good conversations with. Very nice people. My other thought was, one of the things I'm working on is building my vendor contacts. So I thought about going to local businesses and maybe trying to see if they had any coupons or some sort of advertisement for their business that I could share, whether it's at open houses or stick them in mailers out to these people that I've kind of started having a connection with.
Yeah. And if you have a group Facebook page, you can also say, hey, who's your favorite plumber? I'm putting together my vendor list. And then take that plumber out to coffee if they're cool, and safe and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, that's a great
Oh,
idea.
and then you could say, you know what? I'd love to feature you in my newsletter. If I did that, would I be able to maybe offer a little 10% coupon code or something like that for my clients?
Okay,
So you can
perfect.
organize discounts with your vendors for sure.
Nice.
Cool.
I got a quick question for you. How do you feel, and I don't know if you already talked about it, but how do you feel about door knocking, or as far as like, yeah, just traveling around like with, like little flyers from yourself and just putting them in people's mailboxes and stuff like that. Do you
It's
think that's
one of those things too where you have to be really consistent with door knocking. And I definitely will say that I want everybody, if you're ever door knocking, to err on the side of safety. Like that is a concern. So I just want to like put that out with a disclaimer. With door knocking, like if you just do it once, it's kind of a waste of your time. A lot of real estate, if you just do it once, it's kind of a waste of your time. So it's a matter of, I think door knocking is great, but are you willing to do it more than one time? And
Yeah.
are you willing to get to know those people, more than one time? And you can also, what you would do is you would do a multi-touch plan. You would door knock once, you would send out a mailer the next week. You would maybe try to get their phone numbers another week. You would maybe do, some other event another time. Like you would try to host an open house in the neighborhood another week. So you kind of try to sort of like own that area, own that neighborhood. And you
Got
would do that, Nicole, in your neighborhood. And that's with any kind of neighborhood thing. You kind of want to like hit them in multiple ways, multiple times, as much as you.
Yeah, I'm on my second wave with my neighborhood, which has over 250 homes.
Mhm.
So my first is, I pretty much handed out, not to every house, but about over 150 flyers on the doors. Now I've got a Facebook post. Now I'm extending that food drive to my neighborhood. So I'll be doing porch pickups where they have to IM me their addresses, so
Yeah.
I know where to pick up.
Yeah.
And then my other question to you was Facebook. So I have personal Facebook. And then I also, since I've started with Keller Williams, created a business page. When you're posting these outreaches, what's your favorite vendor? Do you post it on your business page or and then share it to your personal page, or do you just put it on one or the other? And
I would
talked-
do the most to, I would, for that particular thing, if you were advertising a listing, I would do it on your professional page and then share it on your personal. For that, I would just go personal because you want the name.
Okay.
It isn't
Okay.
about branding yourself. It's that you want the data. Cool.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, you guys. If you need anything, please reach out. You can find me, _ Winnie and Company on Instagram, but you guys have all my info and I look forward to, connecting with you guys again soon. And if there's anything that I can help you with, just reach out. Thank you guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.